The world was changing fast. Everything was getting together. Robin had been observing these animals for quite some time now. Even though the animals were only an inch long, and the bigger animals were an inch and a half long, the bigger animals seemed to have the advantage. They seemed to be able to go further, and they didn't seem to die so quick. So Robin started just looking at the bigger creatures to see what the bigger creatures were up to and what their domination was. And he was studying one of the bigger creatures when he seen that it was moving the food away from the other creature so the other creature couldn't get to the food, and therefore the other creature would die of starvation and hunger. He thought this was funny. He thought it was hilarious. And he showed the other creatures. He said to them, check this out, this is funny. Watch this. Watch what it does when I pull this bit of food away. He can't make it. Let's pull it a bit more hard. He's just disabled. He's just no good. We need to get rid of creatures like that. We don't need creatures like that in our world. Oh, it's dead funny. It's funny to watch me do this, isn't it? Well, the other creatures didn't agree with him. They didn't say to him they didn't agree with him because he was more powerful. But what they did do is they tried to stay away from him when he was walking about and doing his thing, because they tried to keep away from him because he was a bully. And he was bullying the creatures that he thought he was above, which no one's above anyone, and no one should bully anyone. But this was his way. This is what he thought was right. Now, the creatures in the sea, which is where they all come from at the end of the day, well, their law was if you're big enough, eat the next one, you'll survive. Don't let the one behind you that's bigger get to you and eat you. And just keep swimming in one direction and get away as fast as you can. And just keep eating the smaller ones and getting bigger. But the smaller ones are their brothers and sisters. So therefore they were eating their own species, their own kinds. But there was lots of different species in the sea. And because they were eating each other, some were getting parts of the other animals developing in them while they're swimming about and becoming more stronger and stronger. And the small ones just had to find a way to get away. And lucky enough, Robin had put up the sun, he'd put up the stars, and he'd put up the clouds. And then he decided that the water was disappearing too fast, therefore all the creatures under the sea would actually die lack of water. So he decided to put some crystal cloud sponges up in the clouds. And that's why when it's raining and it's storming, we see the wind and the rain, and we see the rain coming down from the clouds. That's because Robin lined all the clouds with special sponges. And that's why when you see a whirlpool, that's Robin twisting his fingers to make the whirlpool come in and split things up so that we can move stuff about Earth. I can go from one direction to another. In other words, if 2,000 frogs get caught in a whirlpool and they get thrown away 50 miles away, then there'll be 2,000 more 2,000 more frogs in that area. And that was the way Robin done it. He decided to move things about. And he was always, and he's still in the background, always watching and always developing and always making new programs, new developments that can be used to better this planet that he has now got to gather the information from and get the wisdom. Well, the larger creatures, they last a bit longer and they made their ways up higher and higher on the hill. Then there was other creatures that were coming were even larger than them. They were doing the same thing. They were just eating, and looking for more food. That's all they were doing. But there was intelligence there. Because Robin could hear in his listening devices, he could actually hear their brains and listen to their brains and listen to their thoughts. And the thought was, let's look under this rock. Let's go over here. Let's go here and look for food. And that's intelligence. The intelligence is when you can say where you're going for stuff. And that's what happened there. They started to get intelligence. The intelligence was now there. So Robin would go up and down the funnel, keeping progress. But he wouldn't be telling Father Wisdom because there was not enough there to put in a book of time to start a story. So he'd just carry on and carry on. Anyway, all the creatures at the bottom that were all perishing started learning how to get higher, and just a little bit more and a little bit more. Then there was little pools on us rocks and islands, and then you've got the ice, which is preserving water and letting water come when the sun gets round to it. And it seemed to work like a clock. One thing fed the other thing, made the earth the way it was at the time. And remember, this is still before time began. This is when time did begin, but before time began. When you get to the crunch of it, it's all about time. Time is no time. Time doesn't know how long time is. Time doesn't know how far time is going to go. And time doesn't know how long time is going to stop. And you can't write about the book of time or put the book of time out when time doesn't start, and it all started before time started. So it's really confusing. Time is a confusing thing. I've been on here for some time, and that time's gone. That time's not coming back to me. So if I could capture that time, put it in the book of time, then the next generation will know what that time is. I've just spent speaking to you. So this is what it was all about. It was about collecting information and getting the right stuff. But it's also about the way life started and the way life moved on. And all of a sudden, the green started popping up. We've got green nothing called grass, which has come from the moss and made its way through. Then we had little mushrooms, little mushrooms you could eat. So there was food coming out there. And when you ate this food, your insides changed and your mind changed, everything you done changed, but you got stronger and bigger. You were on your way up there and you were learning different skills. And you'd get there and you'd see these little brown things with little bits of green on top that were solid and starting to grow. We've never seen these before. These are new, these are up high, and they're kind of crawling down towards the sea, but not quite getting to the sea. The sea seemed to always have the sand around it where nothing grew. Then you pass the sand, and you get the moss, then you get the grass, then you get something bigger, then you get little streams. All of a sudden disappeared. So the landscape was changing. Was it changing for the better? I don't know. But what I do know is the creatures crawling about, and they were all on the ground. There was none in the trees, there was none like that. They were all crawling about, looking for food, and looking for safety, and looking for different places to hide, and different places to live, and looking for somewhere to build a little cave. Oh, that's my family. Putting the family in a safe, and coming out during the day and sleeping at night, or sleeping during the night and coming out during the day. But they were always looking for food to keep themselves alive. That was the main thing at the beginning, was how do we find food? Because it was a new world to them. And Robin was observing this, and he was noting it all down. And he was getting things coming out of the brains, waves, sound waves. And his sound waves was information. And he was putting the information in the green sack. More information in the green sack. This went on for millions of years. Because there wasn't much there. Then all of a sudden, he spotted these creatures climbing up the brown little sticks. These brown little sticks were long now, tall. We call them trees now, but they wasn't sure what they were. But they started climbing up. Now I'm going to tell you the story about the animals that actually made it to the trees, because they had to run, because if they didn't get up there, they were going to get eaten. So they would not be here in the first place. So I'm going to tell you in the next story about how these animals survived in the trees.